Hey there, history enthusiasts. Welcome to our exploration of some of the most significant wars in human history. Wars, as devastating as they are, often serve as pivotal turning points, shaping the geopolitical landscape and leaving an indelible mark on civilizations. From ancient conflicts that redrew the map of the world to modern clashes that tested the very fabric of humanity, we'll delve into the battles, the strategies, and the profound consequences that have echoed through the ages. So buckle up as we embark on this journey through time, exploring the wars that have shaped our world, from the rise and fall of empires to the evolution of warfare itself. Over the next few episodes, we'll be venturing into the heart of these conflicts, examining not just the military campaigns, but also the underlying causes, the social and economic factors, and the long-lasting impacts that continue to resonate today. From the Peloponnesian War, which reshaped ancient Greece, to the two world wars that engulfed the globe, we'll uncover the intricate tapestry of history, thread by bloody thread. Get ready to explore the clash of ideologies, the ambitions of rulers, and the sacrifices of countless individuals caught in the crossfire. This isn't just about dates and battles, it's about understanding the human story, the choices we make, and the consequences that ripple through generations. Let's dive in. Our journey begins in ancient Greece, a civilization often lauded for its contributions to philosophy, democracy, and the arts. But beneath the surface of this golden age simmered a cauldron of tension, a rivalry between two powerful city-states, Athens and Sparta. The Peloponnesian War, a conflict that spanned nearly 3 decades, pitted these titans against each other in a struggle for dominance over the Greek world. Athens, a naval power known for its democratic ideals and intellectual pursuits, faced off against Sparta, a land-based military powerhouse with a rigid social structure and an emphasis on martial prowess. Imagine a world where two distinct ways of life, two contrasting visions for the future of Greece, collide in a conflict of epic proportions. This wasn't just a clash of armies, it was a clash of ideologies, a battle for the very soul of Greece. The Peloponnesian War was a war fought on multiple fronts, on land and sea, in the political arena, and even within the hearts and minds of the Greek people. It's a tale of ambition, betrayal, and ultimately, the tragic downfall of a civilization at the pinnacle of its power. Let's shift our focus westward to the shores of the Mediterranean Sea, where another epic clash of civilizations unfolded, the Punic Wars. This time, the protagonists were Rome, a rising power on the Italian peninsula, and Carthage, a maritime empire based in North Africa. The stakes were high, for at the heart of this conflict lay control of the Mediterranean, a vital trade route and a source of immense wealth and power. Rome, with its legions of disciplined soldiers, sought to expand its dominion beyond Italy, while Carthage, renowned for its naval prowess and commercial acumen, aimed to protect its maritime empire and maintain its dominance in the western Mediterranean. The Punic Wars were a clash of titans, a struggle for supremacy between two distinct cultures with vastly different strengths. Rome's military might was formidable, its legions renowned for their discipline and tactical flexibility. Carthage, on the other hand, boasted a powerful navy, skilled generals like Hannibal, and a network of trade that spanned the Mediterranean. Over the course of 3 devastating wars, these ancient superpowers locked horns in a series of battles that would decide the fate of the Western Mediterranean and shape the course of Western civilization. From the legendary exploits of Hannibal Barca to the eventual triumph of Roman might, the Punic Wars stand as a testament to the enduring human capacity for both brilliance and brutality. So we're in the 14th century, which, let's be honest, wasn't exactly known for its chill vibes. Europe was kind of a mess. The Black Death was wreaking havoc, and on top of all that, England and France decided it was the perfect time to have a disagreement that would last, well, a while. And by a while, I mean 116 years. That's right, folks. Over a century of on-again, off-again warfare. The immediate cause was a dispute over who should be the rightful king of France after the death of Charles IV. England's King Edward III believed he had a claim to the French throne, and the French weren't exactly thrilled about that. It was brutal, bloody, and ultimately transformative. This war wasn't just about two kings, it was about the very identities of England and France. It was about the rise of national consciousness and the evolution of warfare. Fast forward past the Renaissance, Reformation, printing press, and New World discovery, We're now in the 18th century. People still don't like being told what to do, especially about taxes. And that's where the American Revolution comes in. It wasn't just about taxes, but liberty, equality, self-determination. Colonists, tired of a distant king, decided to forge their own destiny. It ignited a firestorm that swept across the globe. They fought for an idea. All men are created equal, with unalienable rights. Life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. These radical ideas challenged the old world order. The American Revolution was a true revolution, a complete overthrow of the existing power structure. It had a profound impact on the entire world, inspiring revolutions in France, Haiti, Latin America, and beyond, ushering in a new era of democracy and self-government. So, we've talked about revolutions. Well, get ready for a revolution with a capital R. Because in the late 18th century, France, inspired by, you guessed it, those plucky American colonists, decided to have a revolution of their own. And out of the chaos and bloodshed of the French Revolution rose a figure who would come to dominate the European stage like few others, Napoleon Bonaparte. Now, Napoleon was a complex figure, a study in contradictions. He was a brilliant military strategist, a ruthless dictator, a champion of the Enlightenment, and a product of the very revolution he sought to control. He was a man of seemingly boundless ambition, who rose from relatively humble beginnings to become the Emperor of France, conquering much of Europe in the process. Napoleon's rise to power was nothing short of meteoric. He was a master of propaganda, cultivating an image of himself as a man of the people, a defender of the revolution. And he was a brilliant military tactician, winning victory after victory against France's enemies. His campaigns were legendary, marked by daring maneuvers, innovative tactics, and a seemingly uncanny ability to outwit and outmaneuver his opponents. But Napoleon's ambition ultimately proved to be his undoing. His conquests, while initially met with some support, soon sparked widespread resistance. His attempts to impose French rule on the rest of Europe backfired, igniting nationalist sentiments and fueling the fires of resistance, and his decision to invade Russia in 1812, well, that turned out to be a bit of a disaster. Hey everyone, and welcome back to our look at some of the most impactful wars in human history. Today we're diving deep into the heart of 19th century America, exploring a conflict that tested the very fabric of the young nation, the American Civil War. It wasn't just about slavery, though that was undeniably at its core. The Civil War was a collision of ideologies, a clash between the industrial North and the agrarian South, between federal power and states' rights. This wasn't a distant squabble on some far-flung continent. This was a nation grappling with its own identity, its own soul. From the first shots fired at Fort Sumter in 1861 to the Confederacy's surrender at Appomattox Courthouse in 1865, the American landscape was transformed into a brutal battleground. Brother fought against brother, friend against friend, all under a single flag that seemed to represent two vastly different visions of what America could be. The human cost of this war was staggering. Hundreds of thousands perished, leaving countless families shattered and a nation forever marked by the scars of conflict. But from the ashes of this devastating war, a new America would emerge, one that had finally confronted its original sin and taken a halting, painful step towards a more perfect union. Ah, the 20th century. You might think it would be a time of technological marvel and unprecedented progress. And you wouldn't be wrong, but you'd also be forgetting the bit about unprecedented bloodshed. Because as we turn our attention to the global stage, we encounter a conflict so massive, so devastating, it would forever be known as the Great War, World War I. In the summer of 1914, a tangled web of alliances, simmering nationalism, and good old-fashioned imperial ambition ignited a conflict that would engulf Europe and beyond. The assassination of Archduke Franz Ferdinand, heir to the Austro-Hungarian throne, served as the spark that ignited this powder keg of tensions. What began as a localized dispute quickly escalated into a global conflagration, drawing in the major powers of Europe and their colonies in a deadly domino effect. Germany, Austria-Hungary, and the Ottoman Empire, known as the Central Powers, found themselves pitted against Great Britain, France, Russia, and eventually the United States, forming the Allied powers. And so began a new era of warfare, one characterized by horrific trench warfare, technological advancements like machine guns and poison gas, and a level of brutality that shocked even the most hardened military minds. This wasn't the glorious clash of armies many had envisioned. It was a grinding, attritional war of attrition that would leave millions dead and redefine the very meaning of conflict. If World War I was the war to end all wars, as some naively hoped, then World War II was its brutal, inevitable sequel. Just 2 decades after the armistice, the world found itself plunged once more into the abyss, facing a darkness even more profound than the horrors of the Great War. The rise of Adolf Hitler and his Nazi Party in Germany cast a long shadow across Europe, fueled by a toxic ideology of racial hatred, expansionism, and a thirst for vengeance in the wake of Germany's defeat in the previous war. Hitler's ambitions, however, were not confined to the pages of Mein Kampf. His aggressive expansionist policies, beginning with the annexation of Austria and culminating in the invasion of Poland in 1939, shattered the fragile peace that had held Europe together. The world watched in disbelief, many hoping against hope that diplomacy might yet prevail. But this was a different kind of enemy, driven by an ideology of hate and fueled by a desire to reshape the world in its own twisted image. The invasion of Poland proved to be the tipping point, drawing Great Britain and France into the conflict and marking the beginning of a global war unlike any other. On one side stood the Axis powers, led by Nazi Germany, Fascist Italy under Benito Mussolini, and Imperial Japan. On the other, the Allied powers, spearheaded by Great Britain, the United States, and the Soviet Union, an uneasy alliance of ideologies united against a common enemy. All right, so World War II ends, right? And everyone breathes a collective sigh of relief. We did it, the Nazis are defeated, fascism is checked, the good guys won, except not so fast. See, embedded in this victory was a new kind of tension, a standoff between 2 superpowers with vastly different ideologies, the capitalist United States and the communist Soviet Union. The US, with its commitment to democracy and individual liberties, looked upon the Soviet Union's one-party system and state-controlled economy with suspicion, bordering on paranoia. Meanwhile, the Soviets, having clawed their way through a brutal war on their own soil, felt justified in creating a buffer zone of friendly states in Eastern Europe. And thus, like a chilling wind, the Iron Curtain descended, dividing Europe and indeed the world into 2 distinct camps. Now, it's important to note that this wasn't an actual war with tanks and trenches, at least not in the traditional sense. The Cold War was a war of ideology, of espionage, of proxy wars fought on distant battlefields. It was a chess match played on a global scale, with each side vying for influence, for allies, for any advantage in this terrifying new world order. Think about it. The constant threat of nuclear annihilation, the arms race, the space race, the Cuban Missile Crisis. Talk about your existential dread. The Cold War permeated every aspect of life, from geopolitics to popular culture. It was a time of fear, of uncertainty, but also strangely of a kind of twisted stability. It's a lot to unpack, so let's dive in. All right, let's talk about the Vietnam War, a conflict that remains one of the most controversial and divisive chapters in American history. It wasn't just a war fought in jungles and rice paddies, but also on college campuses, in living rooms, and within the halls of power. See, Vietnam was initially a French colony, but after World War II, a communist movement led by Ho Chi Minh sought independence. The US, fearing the spread of communism in Southeast Asia, got involved, initially providing financial aid and military advisors. Remember that domino theory we talked about? Yeah, it was in full effect here. But as the conflict escalated, so did American involvement. US troops were sent in, and what began as a limited engagement spiraled into a full-blown war. The problem was, the Vietnam War was unlike any conflict the US had fought before. It was a guerrilla war, fought in dense jungles against a determined enemy who knew the terrain far better. Back home, the war became increasingly unpopular. The draft, the mounting casualties, the horrific images broadcast into living rooms every night, it all fueled a massive anti-war movement. Protests erupted across the country, pitting a generation of young people against the government and challenging the very foundations of American society. And that, my friends, is a wrap on our whirlwind tour of some of the most impactful wars in human history. We've journeyed through centuries of conflict, from the ancient battles that shaped civilizations to the modern wars that continue to resonate today. But remember, this is just a starting point. Each of these wars is a universe unto itself, filled with stories of courage and cowardice, of innovation and destruction, of triumph and tragedy. And there are countless other conflicts, both big and small, that have left their mark on the human story. So keep exploring, keep learning, and keep asking those big, hard questions about the nature of war, its causes, and its consequences. Because only by understanding our past can we hope to create a more peaceful future. Oh, and if you enjoyed this video and want to delve deeper into the annals of history with us, be sure to subscribe to the channel for more. Until next time, stay curious.